Hello, welcome, and now we're going to tell you what you are allowed to say.
You can't say that.
No, actually, if we're the government, we can tell you what to say all the time.
You can't say that either.
It starts with little things like M103, which is basically about Islamophobia, and now it's gone to the Senate has passed Bill C-16,
Which we talked about before in a video.
I don't know if
I'm pretty sure we've talked about
C-16. We've talked about M103, but we haven't talked about C-16. C-16 basically.
The same line of
yeah, it's the same line of thought.
But you can't say that. Don't be saying that.
Yeah, exactly. You may wonder, it's like, oh, the government can't tell us what to say. Well, apparently, yes, it can. According to BC C-16, the government, you can be charged by a human rights court for not using proper pronouns to describe a person of fluid genders, such as Z and Zir and They.
And this all started from a video, right? From a video from a university professor.
Professor
Jordan
Peterson.
Saying, now I haven't seen the video, so maybe... You
I have. I've also started watching a lot of his stuff. Yes,
he was speaking out against this attack on free speech, because that's exactly what it is.
Because what's happened was a transgender student said, "Oh, you have to call me by Zir," and he says, "No, I don't." And they got offended, went to the university, and the university was like, "You have to do this," and he's like, "No, I don't." And he's made numerous videos. He goes around talking to universities about free speech. He is often protested against, in some cases quite
violently.
Not violently, but
aggressively.
Aggressively. There, that's a good way of describing it.
That's the problem with free speech, and we've talked. I've said this before, and unfortunately, when you have free speech, it means it's not just I have free speech; it's everybody has free speech.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So whether if you're offended by the words that come out of my mouth, that's not my problem. In a free world of free speech, your offense to what I say is not a problem. Like, it's not, if you're offended by me saying, I like the Edmonton Oilers, and you're mad at that, and you're offended by that, that's not my problem. Because they're just words. I'm not physically harming you.
In the sense of free speech, though, it does specifically say you cannot talk in ways that incite violence. That, or it will encourage people to commit harm.
But then that could be anything.
No, okay. Saying you want to kill all Edmonton Oilers fans, or we should kill all Edmonton Oilers fans. That is incitement to cause harm. That is actually against the law. Whereas you can say, I hate the Edmonton Oilers, and you can get offended all you want. I'm still allowed to say I hate the Edmonton Oilers.
I don't like to think that oh, never mind. I was just going to say something that I shouldn't have. I was going to say we should be smart enough as a society, and then I stopped myself because that's we're not. So
no, and that's a huge problem. Is with this bill that just went through that passed the Senate. Now, if you run into a transgender person and you incorrectly pronoun them, they can take you. You can be put in jail.
Fine.
You can be fined.
It said in this article that I read that he sent me that you could be re-educated.
Yeah.
Wow, if that's not like something from like communist Russia,
yes.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what's happening, and we're all gobbling it up in the sense, in the thought of human rights and stuff like that. It's like, well, yeah, human rights, I get, but human rights aren't supposed to trample other people's human rights. That kind of defeats the purpose there, doesn't it?
But it's kind of hard because you're going to always have that. Because you're always going to have that group of people who are offended. You're always going to have those group of people who want something different, right? Mm-hmm. So it's going to be like, oh, you be like, you know, for us, we're like, well, why do we have to use those words? And they're like, you have to use them because it offends me. It's like, well, okay, so who do you
Yeah, well,
Who do you
at that point
tailor
in time,
these laws?
yeah, and at that point in time, the minority is ruling majority because they're saying it's like, oh, I'm offended. And as soon as you say that, oh, we have to bend over backwards
Yeah.
for it. He's like, no.
As soon as you
if you're
throw that, I'm
offended-
offended. No, if you're offended, then you walk away, and you can protest. That's fine as long as you're peaceful. You can roar and uproar and tell people not to go to this university or go to this business because they treat people badly, and then the market will decide whether this entity succeeds or not because they want to follow your.
That's what it should come down to. Is we have a free market. If you want to write on there that they discriminated against me because I'm transgender, and it's like, well, and if people agree with you, they will boycott the restaurant or whatever the business,
whatever,
and
and
they
you
go under.
win.
That's how you win. You don't go,
Yeah.
oh, they discriminated against me. I want this place shut down, and then all of a sudden the Gestapo come in and close it down.
That's
It's
what
like,
we do
no,
now,
no,
though. That's what
it is.
We do that as a society. We run to the government and say, "I'm offended. I want you to make a law to protect me." And the government goes, "We need to protect everybody." And it's like, why don't you protect yourself and get people on? Like, especially now with social media, we have such access to so many people. If you're offended by XYZ brand, they did something to offend you. You write it online. You write a review on the Yelp or whatever it is you are on the Facebook, and you go blah blah. This was my experience, blah blah blah, and it gets shared. Oh, it doesn't get shared. You're the only one who cares about it. Oh, looks like you're offended, and you need to kind of maybe get a thicker skin, maybe. You know what I mean? Or move on. But no, people go, well, this offended me. I got to go to the government, and now the government goes, ooh, 10 people are offended. I better start doing something about this. Let's champion this cause because I look like a good person.
And it really sucks is because people are like it only takes one or two people and things are changing, and it's just like no, we can't keep doing this because at some point in time people are going to start. People realize right now that if they complain, things change.
It's like, remember when you were a kid and you would just cry and cry and cry, and your parents would never give you what you wanted because you were crying. Now it's turned into, well, they just give you what you want because you cry.
Yeah, and now they know that.
Now we know we
I
can
want
just cry.
something. Cry.
Yeah.
Well, I got it.
Exactly.
Cry.
And it's
I
like,
got it. Cry. I got it. And they're going to keep getting it. And then what? Because at some point, because if you take out of 100 people, 10 people are offended, and they change everything. Well, say one person out of that 10 is going to be offended by the change, and then they're going to change it again, just to satisfy one person out of 100. It's a horrible thing that social justice warriors have ruined the world.
They have, and unfortunately the internet's given them, and you can put us in that as well if you'd like, because we do the same thing. We come on the internet and we complain and we give we complain.
Yeah,
we complain. We give our opinions and our thoughts on things that are happening in the world, and it's just, but it ruins things, and it just like if you're offended by something or you don't like something, just move on. Don't purchase the product. Don't use the service. You know what I mean?
Change the channel.
Yeah, I know there are some things that like if I know it's hard if you can't just like if you're offended by a hospital, I don't know, maybe you can't go to another hospital. You know, because it's all the same Alberta Health Services in Alberta anyways. But there are ways to go about it without ruining it for everybody else who don't have the offense taken, or you know what I mean, like. So with this new bill, if somebody comes up and I'm like, "Hey, man," because it looks like a dude, and they're like, "You offended me because I'm a woman," and it's like, well, how did I know that? You know what I mean? I've accidentally called people man, but I'm not using it in a I'm not saying a man like a man. I'm just, hey man, it's just a greeting. What's up? Hey.
The problem with this bill is basically telling us that we have to say things a certain way.
Yeah.
Right?
It's intruding into private conversations.
Yeah.
That's what it's doing.
And you may not think it's like, oh, well, that's not a bad thing. It's like, oh, yeah. it doesn't come across as a horrible thing when you want to say, when the government says, you have to say please, thank you, and excuse me, and it's like, well, they're making us say these things now, so that they are not.
It's not that they're not saying that like please, like your example, of please, thank you. That they're good words and they should be used, but it's the fact that you're being forced to say that thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and it's like that's where the issue is, and it's like. If you're with a group of friends, so say you and I are at a pub, we're talking about, the girl at the bar, and we're like, God, that girl has nice titties, right? That's a conversation between you and I, and neither of us are offended by that, because we're having a proper conversation. Imagine if you said that, and then you were arrested because you said a bad word, and you made a comment,
a derogatory
yes, a derogatory comment towards somebody, and you were arrested for that. Imagine that, and it's like, but I didn't offend anybody. But that's in a sense what this would be doing.
Now, and that's the thing is like, it's so weird that they're saying it's like, it has nothing to do with language, and I'm like, well, the human rights court people actually say, yeah, actually we have full intentions of using this law to do this to people, and it's just like it's when I heard of the human rights courts coming into existence, I was like, that's not good at all, because human rights courts can convict you according to a feeling instead of according to facts.
Feelings aren't they're nothing.
Feelings are subjective.
Yeah, feelings are nothing.
That sense that
you can't put a law on
subjection is different. The whole point of the word subjection.
The word subjective. It's different for each individual, and to be able to put a law or any kind of legislation or regulation on something that's subjective is impossible. You can't do it.
And this is this is C16, and this has to do with trans people, basically. We have the M103 going through for Islamophobia, and if you think the Islamophobia is going to be any different than the transphobia one, it's not, and it's basically shutting people up. And we don't need to shut people up. We need people to talk. Because if you cannot have open discussion and dialogue, you can't fix things.
You're Nazi Germany.
Might as well be.
Might as well be. You know what I mean? Honestly, like I said, if your feelings are hurt by something, if you're offended by something, it's on you. Yes, it's on you to make the choice on what you do. If I'm offended by something, somebody says something that offends me, or somebody acts in a way that it's offensive to me, what do? I remove myself from the situation. I've never been in a situation where I felt that I've had to go to like HR at a job or go to the police because something's offended me. You know what I mean? I just go, well, I don't want to associate myself with that person or that group of people because of the way you act. And like it's just annoying, and I can't believe that it's even in any type of news print. This is the fake news that you hope it.
Yeah, this is fake news, right? You hope for. And
today's April 1st, right?
Yeah.
The day I'm reading this is April. No, it
is not. It's fake news, and it's scary. It's one when we grew up. You could call somebody many, many derogatory terms. Now, those derogatory terms aren't allowed to be used, and we understand. Because, they're kind of offensive, but it also had a point. It helped people grow thick skin. And this thick skin is non-existent to the youth nowadays, and they're the ones...
There is a fine line, though, between a thick skin and actually somebody being an ass.
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately,
and we need
that fine line is...
It's so small that it's so blurred, and it's kind of like, well... Where do we set this? And I get that they're trying to set a line, but you're going a little too far here. That line is subjective, and you can't put like we said, you can't put a law on subjectivity. So I think that as a world, we need to get thicker skin, yes, but as a world, I think we all need to be a little bit more compassionate for one another.
And that's the coin right there. we need a thicker skin, but we also stop half them being assholes.
Yeah, because there's
we are too much. We have gone in both extremes.
Yes.
Too far one way or the other. Because like even when we were growing up, there was a sense of maybe not compassion towards each other, but a sense of honor. You know.
Well, when somebody, I remember if I was young when I was younger, that if somebody was like, "Hey, stop that," I'd be like, "Okay." Like you're making a joke and somebody goes, "Stop." Okay, it's not funny anymore. You know, now it's like not. So I don't know where it's changed. I don't know. You know, I think it's because I'd get an ass whooping if I didn't. From at home, I'd go home and I would get a fucking beaten with a wooden spoon if I was an ass. You know what I mean?
Cracked wooden spoon.
And
that was a horrible thing to get.
I think it all starts with the adult generation, the generation that's grooming our children.
I know we want to have our children have better things than we used to, but we also understand that we are the way we are because of the way our parents were. We need to be a little bit harder with our kids. Show them a
fine line. It's all a fine line, you know what I mean? And it's like, unfortunately, we're just not smart enough. I'm not the smartest person in the world. I know that.
I can't claim to.
I'm 36 years old and I realize why they put warning labels on things nowadays.
Yeah, it's sad when you realize that. It's like, yeah, this is why we need warning labels.
Yep.
Roll your eyes.
Yep, and it gets even worse when you have children in school and you have to deal with other parents who go, holy crap.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let us know what you think. Be sure to use the proper pronouns and vocabulary down below in the comments, or we'll stick the word police after you.
We're going to call them the Gestapo. That's what they
and
are.
hit that subscribe button, because honestly, words don't hurt me, so use whatever words you want. I don't give a fuck. And we'll see you guys later.
See ya.